All right, gang. I am very excited to have on the show with us. He is the cinematographer for a new horror movie, The Puppetman, which I believe is out now on Shudder. Um, so you can check it out. As if you haven't seen it already, you can check it out as kind of a Halloween epilogue, introduction into your Thanksgiving season. But we are very excited to have with us again the cinematographer from that movie, The Puppet Man, Clayton Moore. How you doing, man?
Doing very good. Thank you for having me.
No problem, dude. Thank you for coming on. And if people haven't gotten a chance to check out The Puppet Man on Shudder yet, or have seen the trailer or anything, um, hopefully if they're like checking out like horror coming soon websites and stuff, they've seen, the poster that we've kind of got in the background right now, because that is really when I heard what movie we were going to be talking about. That was, I looked it up and immediately that poster art is, it's wild. It will
Yeah.
definitely like command your attention. And that one of the things that the poster ever always does, or in my opinion should do, is give you a vibe of what the vibe of the movie is going to kind of be like. And so with that, you are the dude who is kind of responsible for the vibe as the cinematographer. So what was this movie like for you to work on?
It was the biggest film I've done so far in the sense of scope, the size of the crew, and the length of the schedule, even though it was only a 20-day schedule, which is, fairly short, but in the indie world, that's a pretty decent schedule. So
Mm.
not too bad there. Um, the vibe we wanted to go for overall, and I think we nailed it, was dark and dreary. We really wanted the locations to kind of fall off into the background. We shot it up in upstate New York in Buffalo,
Mm.
and so a lot of the buildings there are historic and older, and just shooting there in the winter time as well. It just gave this very cold, kind of disconnected, moody, gloomy vibe, and we
Mhm.
just wanted to capture that on camera. I think we did really well at that.
Mhm. It's interesting that you say that because we were just up in that area. Um, we kind of went the opposite direction to Niagara.
Hmm.
Like, so we spent the night in Rochester and then went to Niagara Falls. But definitely had like the option to go up to Buffalo. And when we did it, we did it in the summertime, but even like in that area, the Niagara area, shadows and stuff, like it's definitely different than California. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't know if like dreadful is the word I would say, but I guess the best way that I would describe it is like very Gotham.
Sure, sure. Yeah,
Um, so I don't know if it's like that in Buffalo too. Would you say it's kind of like that in Buffalo too, or no?
yeah, definitely, had a lot of texture in the
Mm,
locations there, in the buildings. There's a lot of historic buildings there. If you've never seen it, look up Buffalo City Hall.
mm.
It was in, Guillermo del Toro movie, um, what the hell was it called? Midnight Alley?
Okay,
Yeah, it was in that film, and
okay.
I mean, that's a creepy building unto itself. It's just old and very gothic, like you had mentioned. Um, but yeah, we tried to use a lot of locations that were older and had
Hmm.
texture built into them. It makes production design easier because you pretty much show up and it's nice, and you have a nice base there, and then
Hmm.
your production design team can just kind of add little pieces to it where they see fit or where you might need a little more on camera.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, I mean, it was. I live in Las Vegas, and I shoot on the West Coast a lot, and so a lot of stuff here is a lot newer and maybe shinier and, nicer looking than you go back east, and there's so much history to everything out there, the towns, the cities, and everything, and so it was a nice, change of scenery for myself and the director as well. So I think that kind of inspired us a bit as well as just being surrounded by so much history and, as you said, the gothic feeling of everything there.
The movie, when you dive in and you look at um, the press release or taglines on IMBD and stuff, uh, the puppeteer, a convicted murderer now on death row, has always maintained his innocence, claiming that it was an evil force that controlled his body as he slaughtered his victims. So that is a hell of a tagline, lug line to get people invested. Like, what for you? Um, would you kind of like add to that to kind of like tell people what they're in for to watch in this journey that you guys made?
Yeah, I mean it's a movie that kind of has a nod towards like the Final Destination series where
Mm,
we wanted to explore some interesting ways to kill off the characters and kind of feature them in more gruesome ways. And
mm.
so it's it's fun to watch the characters one by one. You can kind of see death coming for them ahead of time. And so it's fun to kind of watch them one by one just go down in different interesting ways. There's some pretty brutal, gory death scenes, which is always fun to shoot.
The way that it's written on the press release there is kind of like your guys' tagline. Um, it reminds me, now that you say Final Destination, of Final Destination 1, because in that movie, even 2 too, like death was kind of like this thing. Like they made death like this after effecty, like wavy thing.
Hmm.
And so you kind of like got this like feeling that death was like actually this thing. Like that when that dude hangs himself in the bathtub,
Hmm.
like you see like this wavy effect, and then like that gel goo or whatever the hell it is he slips on comes out from under the toilet,
Yeah.
and he slips, and then the wavy effect thing happens again, and he's like hanging himself, but then the goo like sucks back under the toilet. So
Right.
is that kind of like what you guys were doing too, like as far as death goes? Like it was like this force or whatever this thing is, it's kind of like this force that's
Yeah.
killing people.
There's a bit of that there. It's ours is a lot more subtle. It's uh it's
Okay.
it's maybe just a look on someone's face that as they become possessed, they'll sort of blank out and their eyes will kind of gloss over and they'll just sort of become distant. And then the biggest thing with ours is that the puppet man actually takes control of their body. So
Okay.
a lot of times they'll just freeze in place.
Hmm.
And the big thing is like, "Oh, I can't move, I can't move, I can't control myself." And then the puppet man makes them do things that they obviously wouldn't do, in horrible situations.
Yeah. So what was it that you, with as the cinematographer, kind of getting with the director, like was there a certain lens or certain shot style aesthetic that you were putting on the camera specifically to get the style as close as possible without like doing a bunch of after effects and stuff to it?
Yeah, I mean, this is the director, Brandon Christensen, and I this was our 2nd film together, and we
Nice.
go we go way back together doing, short films and music videos and commercial projects. So we both have a very long standing relationship with each other, working on set together. over the years, we've developed a bit of a shorthand, and we just stylistically we know what each other likes, and I
Mm,
know that Brandon's a huge David Fincher fan, so our early discussions about the film, we watched a lot of Fincher films, specifically Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and Social Network, and then we watched another movie called The Empty Man, and just that style of filmmaking where everything is very controlled, especially the camera.
mm,
You won't see a lot of crazy camera movements in our movies. Everything we do is either a really nice lockdown, well composed frame, or if it does move, it's going to be on a nice smooth dolly shot.
mm,
And so going into the project, knowing that that's kind of the preferred visual language that Brandon and I like to use to tell the stories with, um, it actually and then given our past relationship working together, it made it very easy for us to kind of once we knew the look and the style and the tone we were going for, made it
mhm,
very easy for us to communicate that to the rest of the crew because me and Brandon were the only 2 that came into Buffalo. We were kind of the lead there, and then everyone else there was a local hire. And
hmm.
so yeah, that relationship that we've had working together for so long made it easier for us to communicate what we wanted to the local crew and just to get it done.
And you said you guys shot for 20 days on this one.
Yeah.
Um, the film locations, all throughout just Buffalo itself. Did you guys go anywhere outside of Buffalo?
Yeah, we were primarily we did a lot of work at Buffalo State University.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, the movie takes place at a college and the
Mhm.
college kids, and they're in a dorm room and campus. So we did a lot of our location work at Buffalo State. We utilized a sound stage in Buffalo called Buffalo Filmworks, and it
Nice.
was it was nice to work there as well. We did venture outside Buffalo a few times, but not too far. We shot a nighttime street sequence in downtown Niagara, where we actually closed down a street for the night, which was nice. Um, and then a few surrounding areas. We went out to Lockport, New York, for the hospital roof scene. We shot on the roof of an old hospital. Um, but yeah, pretty much within a 20 or 30-mile radius at the most. But yeah, everything was pretty much in Buffalo itself.
That's that's pretty cool that it sounds like that sound stage is like a rentable sound stage that you guys just used, or is that
Yeah,
what that was?
it's called Buffalo Filmworks. I believe it was actually like a former heavy equipment manufacturing because it's just these huge um metal warehouses, but that they've repurposed into sound stages. So they've added a lot of sound deadening and stuff like that and power. But the big thing is that because of what they used to be, they're already in place. They're massive facilities. Like they have one of the biggest sound stages in the world there. It's like 1,000 feet long almost.
Wow.
Um, but yeah, but it's a real studio. Like they shot Quiet Place 2 there. They've shot some big stuff there. And so we had the pleasure of being able to work there as well. And it was really nice, just to be able to build build sets and light them and then walk away at the end of the day and leave everything set up and walk in the next day with a hot cup of coffee and you're out of the elements because the first 3 weeks of the shoot, we were on location outside overnight, 20-degree weather, wind,
Oh
snow.
man.
So it was exhausting, just battling the elements every day and every night.
With you say were you guys like out there in campers, or did you guys go to a hotel and then go back, or like what were
Yeah,
you
we
guys?
we all had a hotel that was kind of our home base, and it was really nice. But yeah, I mean, once you're out there, you get that lake effect because we were right on the lake there. So you get that lake effect, and it's just you're right in the middle of it all with the right in the middle of winter. And I mean, some days I think the average was probably under 30 degrees,
Mm,
when we were there. And especially when we did the later shoots, like the overnight stuff, like we shot overnight on a bridge. And of course, being right on the water, it was freezing rain all night. It was 20, 30-mile-an-hour winds. It was just miserable. And then the
yeah.
same thing, we did a shoot overnight on the roof of the hospital. So, we're 5 stories up. It's freezing cold. You can't feel your fingers. It's just
Te-
crazy.
the wind, like wind chill too, or
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So, we tried to stay warm any way we could. We had little heaters and stuff, for the actors, and occasionally we would have, like, somewhere where we could stage indoors. Um, but, that's the thing. You do what you can. You
Mm.
kinda use what you got. That's indie filmmaking.
No, for sure. I mean, the fact that you guys got the soundstage, I'm incredibly jealous of. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
any like indie film, um, you know, we've done a couple. My group of friends and I have done a couple. During film school, and since film school, a couple of short films, and
Mhm.
packing all the shit up every time you film is part of
Yeah.
indie filmmaking. Like
Yeah, man.
you gotta pack all your shit up to make sure like no one steals it or messes
Yep.
with it because shit happens and if you leave that there, like nobody like it's gonna get messed with for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Yeah, it
it's
was a luxury for sure. I was surprised that we could make that happen,
yeah, that's super
but
rad.
everyone loved it.
Yeah,
It
I'm
it
no,
felt
I can't
yeah.
imagine why. um, what like horror movies for you as a cinematographer, like have you always been a fan of horror movies or do you like not even like horror movies? Like there's many horror cinematographers that I talk to who have like been a DP on multiple horror movies that like as a film fan don't like horror movies at all.
Mhm. Sure.
Um
Yeah, I could see that.
like what has horror been like for you?
The big thing for me with horror is that it's fun. You
Mhm.
get to try new things if you want to sometimes. Um, Especially when you're doing like supernatural horror stuff, you can get away with things. I mean, a lot of my work, I kind of ground all my work in reality. So I like to use things that appear to be natural sources from lighting standpoint. And like me and Brandon, we like to use the dolly, and we like to base our work in a very controlled manner.
Mm.
Uh, so then, when you do get into horror, if you want to depart from those rules, it gives it more effect. So if you do want to jump into something that's lit a little more stylistic or, fantasy type lighting, or you want to move the camera that's a little more frantic or handheld even, I think it gives it more weight when everything up until that point that you've seen is based in reality. Um, and I'm not a snob or anything towards the genre. Like I have always enjoyed horror films. I think a big part of it was like watching stuff like that growing up, like Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween or Friday the 13th. It's
Mhm.
like I wasn't really allowed to watch that stuff. So there was a thrill to it when you could kind of sneak away and watch it without your parents knowing, or when I did get older and I could rent the tapes and stuff from the video store. It was just
Yeah.
it's just fun. It's fun to be scared. It's, wait until it's late at night and the parents go to bed and you put the scary movie on and you get scared. It's just a fun genre to work in. Of course, like my dream job would probably be like a Western or a historical drama or something like that. But
Mm.
it's another thing too where it's like all my work comes from my previous work. So all my previous work is horror movies, and that's kind of the work I'm gonna get moving forward until I do have a chance to branch out from that. But You know,
Sure.
I don't I'm not a snob about it. I love horror, it's fun.
Right on.
Yeah,
I think that a lot of fun stories come from trying to like conduct something that you think is scary
sure,
because when I don't know what it was like for you guys as far as like how scary it felt when you were actually filming it, but like for us, you know, we made some things that like people like said after they watched it was were like, damn, that was pretty dark. And we never thought that it was when we were filming it. Like, is there stuff for you? Is like the was the puppet man in particular? Like, did it feel like dark as you were filming it? Like, do any scenes in particular like did it give you like the like goosebumps or like damn like this is gonna be like rough for people to watch as you guys were filming it in particular?
yeah, I think, most of the time when you're on set and you're just surrounded by people and lights and you're doing things 4, 5, 6 times and you gotta wait for a reset or wait for makeup, it's like it takes a lot of that magic away. But one scene in particular was, a girl, has a book. She's in a library all alone. She has a book. She drops a cigarette from her mouth onto the book, catches on fire. So the book's burning, and then the puppet man shows up, and so she can't move away from it, and she just lowers her face into the fire, and she's just basically just burning alive.
Oh
And so
man.
even on set shooting it, it was intense because she was we're in this quiet, dark library at the college, and she's screaming her lungs out, you know, and we got the lights going and we're doing this fire effects, and her makeup just looks terrible, and it's like her face is like melting off.
Oh my
So
god.
even in that moment, it was scary, and you know that once the edit comes together and the sound and the visual effects and everything, that it's gonna be, you know, turned up to 10. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, so you just that one stands out in particular, and then when I did finally see the edit of it, I was like, "Yeah, that's insane." So, that was probably the one for me that really stood out.
um with that, did you guys ever get like a bystander coming in and like seeing if you guys were always okay? I know, like, whenever we're filming, like, my neighbors will always come out and check to make sure that it's us filming something because of like screams and shit like that. Like,
Yeah.
did you guys get anybody on campus freaking out because of you guys screaming and stuff?
I don't know if we did, if that did happen, I was never exposed to it.
Mm.
We had a nice kinda protection layer around us of PAs and producers and stuff that would lock up the set for us when we would roll.
Mm.
So, I'm sure it must have happened once or twice at least, but I was never exposed to
Privy
it.
to it.
So, yeah.
Um, Now, with this being the second film that you and the director have done, are you guys going to do a third, or do you guys have
Mhm.
any future plans?
Yeah, we actually just wrapped up our 3rd together.
Well,
We shot it up in Canada. So looking forward to that coming out. He's working on post-production on that right now. And then, you know, we're still talking and we're still in, you know, we're still looking for our next project together. So fingers crossed it'll be a long and fruitful relationship together. And then, you know, of course, I'm always looking for new directors to work with as well. So if anyone's out there got a good script, send it my way.
do you have a particular you had mentioned like Western or a period historical piece would be one that you would love to like dip your toes into. Do you have a horror movie subgenre that you would want to dip your toes into?
Hmm.
Like via old like Conjuring style haunting
Yeah.
movie or
I mean,
whatever.
honestly, I'm open to anything. If it's a good story, like, I'm on board, That's the biggest thing for me is, like, if it starts with the story. So it's like, if I read a script and it knocks my socks off, then I'm all in on it. I don't care what genre it is or what, as long as it's a good story, I'm down. I
Mhm.
mean, so I guess what my point is that it's like I don't have a subgenre or anything that I'm particularly fond of.
Mm.
As long as it's a good script, then I'm down. But if I had to pick one, I'd say anything that'd be like a period piece horror. So, you know, name one of the countless films like that out there, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know of anything offhand.
Um, where can people kind of like watch your stuff or like keep track of your stuff updates like on what is coming out next from you, whether it be links to all the films like Puppet Man that's currently available on Shudder right now, but all your other films that may be available out there streaming as well, like where can people keep track of all that kind of stuff from you?
Yeah, just, my website, claytonmoredp.com. It has a lot of my work on there. It's kinda my portfolio page, so it'll have trailers for all my movies, it'll have music video, commercial work, um, documentary stuff on there. So, pretty much my portfolio. And then, on Instagram, same thing, Clayton Moore DP. It's all one word. And I'm trying to get better at posting on there regularly, but it's it's hard to keep up with all that. So, but that's pretty much it. Just my website and then my Instagram. That's about all I do for socials at the moment.
Right on. We will post links to that in the
Appreciate that.
show notes so you guys can link up with Clayton and keep track of everything that he's got going on and stay on top of when his next film that is coming out will be available for you guys to check out. So, Clayton, thank you, man, once again for coming on the show and everybody out there. Um, Shutter, now's the time now more than ever to do the 7-day trial or whatever it is now that
Mhm.
they offer, and it within that 7 days or 3 days, whatever it is, check out the Puppet Man, available on Shutter right now. Or if you are already a subscriber, the Puppet Man on Shutter right now, and give it a watch. And yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you very much for having me. That was fun.
And